If you've been looking at Vela Bay's ads, it's all about the seafront lifestyle and luxury finishes. But beyond that, how does the structural demand hold up against our four pillars? Let's talk about this today. It's been ages and even decades since the last launch in Bayshore, a place that many people have grown to love over the years. It has been a private residential enclave all this while, but now it seems to have caught the eye of our government. Whether it's the Bedok South Horizon flats that have now MOP, or the Bayshore Palms and Vista BTO that's coming up, or maybe it's when they decided to invest in a Thomson East Coastline with a dedicated Bayshore MRT. Either ways, it goes to show that there is growing demand in this area, and the government is planning to redevelop this into a 60-hectare lifestyle waterfront urban village in the latest master plan. And so in this video, we will go through number 1, a quick overview of Vela Bay, number 2, the expected pricing, number 3, the master plan of the area, number 4, weaknesses of Vela Bay, number 5, people who would love it, and number 6, surrounding competition, and finally the scorecard. Starting with the overview, we have this development right next to Bayshore MRT with sheltered access across 2 blocks and 31 stories each with 515 units in total with an approximate land size of 112,000 square feet. You will have 1 big pool and a tennis court and of course barbecue pits, gyms, and also walking trail within the development. It will however have 3 side gates which will offer direct connection to Bayshore MRT exit, which is almost similar to that of an integrated development. The unit types available would be from 1 to 5 bedroom units with 2 penthouses units, with the bulk of the units also being the 2 and 3 bedrooms. It seems like the developer also understands that 1 bedroom's demand may not be as strong, so they only have 1 stack of it in this development. Similarly, the 4 bedroom and 5 bedroom private live units only have 1 stack as well. And we can tell from the way that they arrange these blocks that they want to maximize the number of units that can get a potential sea view, which makes sense because sea views in Singapore is pretty rare, and in this area that specializes in condos that afford you that sea view, it is a definite must-have. And thankfully, all unit types with the exception of 3 bedrooms will have at least 1 stack with a sea view, even the 1 bedroom units. The 3 bedrooms, you will just have this stack, so maybe you can see a bit of the sea, but you will largely be blocked by the condo Costa Del Sol. But like many sea-facing units in the area, it often comes with PIE noise as well. And so if you prefer something quieter, the north-facing stacks might suit you better for now till the new development comes up. And these north-facing unblocked view units come in 1 to 4 bedroom unit types. There will however be only 258 parking lots with 4 EVs charging lots, which is 50% car park capacity. So not sure if this is going to be an issue next time, but they are, I guess, expecting you to use the MRT more. And if you are driving and not thinking of letting go of your car anytime soon, take this part seriously, because this looks like an own-stay development and majority of the people staying here would likely be driving as well. And moving on to expected pricing, the break-even price for Vela Bay is 2,343 PSF PPR, which is pretty high comparatively to Pioneer's $1,823, which just launched a couple of weeks ago. So if the prices is going to be moving in tandem, then we can potentially expect Vela Bay to be around average 2,800 PSF, which could sound nuts to some people because it wasn't that long ago since we've seen our River Valley launches starting at the similar prices. The sizes I will use here are based off the unit mix we just got, and this is not the official price guide yet. I just did a multiplication of unit sizes here. And also take note that this is a harmonized development, hence some unit sizes look smaller than they should be. And I've extended the PSF all the way to $3,100 because at this point I'm pretty sure that some high floor sea-facing unit types would likely command such a price premium. And also factoring the current situation with the war and energy crisis, I'm not sure how they will price to combat potential rising costs in the future as well. And so based on these sizes, if we are lucky at 2,600 PSF, the 1 bedroom potentially starting at 1.258 million, 2 bedroom at 1.539 million, 3 bedroom at 2.295 million, 4 bedroom at 3.049 million, and 5 bedroom at 4.1 million. The penthouses are likely to be above 3,000 PSF, so maybe 5.4 million maybe. And now on to the master plan, and looking at it, it still seems like a mostly private residential area. But with the new Bayshore BTO coming up and more BTO plots, it will likely be a mixed estate in no time. The general plan for Bayshore is to become more green and lush and become a rejuvenated waterfront urban village and also a more carbon light district as well. There are slated to be around 10,000 new homes over here, split into 7,000 BTOs and 3,000 new private homes. The government is also looking to create more amenities such as shops, eateries, supermarkets, even a medical and health facility, and with the inclusion of a new primary school as well. And this is all part of the Bayshore Rejuvenation Plan or the East Coast Plan that we've been hearing about. But this also means that you will be subjected to construction noises all around unless you are facing Costa del Sol, and hopefully all of these developments come up in the next few years rather than only after Vela Bay's completion. And if you look further to the east, we have the new Bayshore Drive development that is currently pending for sale that will be integrated with the upcoming Bedok South MRT on the Thomson East Coast Line. And we also will have Safra Bayshore, which is the latest installation in the series, to be just behind Temasek Secondary School. And to our west, we have the OG Bayshore condos, Bayshore Park, Costa del Sol, and the Bayshore. Further to the west, we have Laguna Park and Seaside Residences, the only newish development in the area, and then the entire stretch of legacy condos here. That could potentially draw on block development interest from developers after we see how Vela Bay performs. And to our north, we have smaller legacy condos along a landed enclave. Based on what we are looking at in this master plan snapshot, it seems like the truest selling point of Vela Bay would be the sea views and proximity to Bayshore MRT and East Coast Park. And because of all these empty plots nearby, we would likely have a first mover advantage if you're entering into this development. And moving on to amenities, and let's be frank, there will not be any coffee shops or supermarkets in the immediate vicinity, at least right now. However, in the years to come, we can expect the BTO estates to have their own commercial spaces, but perhaps you'll only be there in the mid-2030s. Perhaps what we can say for certain now is that when we zoom out and look a bit further, you got C Club CC, which has a Sheng Siong, and also the new Safra would be ready when this development is done, right? So that's a bonus for the amenities. Within 1 km, we have Temasek Primary, which sounds like a good school based on the name, but ranking wise not so much. I would say the best part of your kid going to this school is that it is one train stop, one bus stop, or 15 minutes walk to the school. However, seeing that this is the only primary school within this area with a 100% take-up rate and looks like a 2 times oversubscribed primary school, you might need some luck for your kid to get in. All in all, this development speaks a lot on lifestyle, saying that it sells sea views in close proximity to East Coast Park, one bus stop or train stop away from Safra or Siglap CC. If you're looking at a mature estate with tons of coffee shops, wet markets and all, then this may not be the right development for you. Now let's talk on the weaknesses of Vela Bay. While this may seem contradictory to some people, being the first mover in this area is not without risk. The BTOs around us are all plus flats, meaning that they all have a 10-year MOP. If they complete building in 2029, that means that your wave of upgraded demand only comes to you in 2039. And that could be a stretch for some people who are looking to sell upon TOP or do not have enough funds catered for a longer holding period. This development will unlikely be a buy and sell upon TOP kind of project, so expect a longer holding time for this. However, inorganic demand, meaning that people who are not originally staying in this estate who want a newer East Coast Park proximity and sea view unit might consider this development even during the resale period. And next, we have the higher price premium, because this is perhaps one of the more expensive OCR land prices in recent years, and entering at this stage without any concrete evidence of a neighborhood being built up may scare some people. But it was the same as Lentor when it first launched at 2000 plus PSF or 1009 PSF, and people were cautious too. But take a look at the resale transactions today. This area will be more expensive than previous OCR properties for sure, but remember that you're buying into a Singapore-backed infrastructure plan, and that comes with a premium. Next, we have the potential direct competition at the new integrated development at Bayshore Drive. The tender hasn't been launched, but if it were a situation like Tembusu Grand and Emerald at Katong, where there is a drastic difference in land prices, then you might be kicking yourself into buying this earlier other non-integrated development. But that aside, integrated development land plots would usually be higher than non-integrated, but can you imagine that this land price for Vela Bay is already at 1,388, which puts the integrated ones at maybe 1,500, 1,600 PSF PPR? And this is quite insane considering that some launches just 5 years ago were selling at these prices. And now let's talk about the people who would love Vela Bay. Profile number 1, we have the lifestyle person or family. They are perhaps the ones who always dreamed of living close to East Coast Park so that it becomes a daily commute or evening destination. And now with the added bonus of a brand new Safra as a new lifestyle option too. These people may have been looking at this area previously, but the age of the existing condos in the area or the layouts, especially those of the Bayshore condo, isn't something that they are looking for. And this is also a personal opinion, but this group of people that perhaps like this kind of lifestyle could be the millennials in general who always secretly wanted that East Coast lifestyle housing option. And now with Vela Bay, there is a newer buy-in option for them to consider, and having a MRT just 100 meters away seals the deal for them. And profile number 2, we have the first mover investors group. These are the ones that believe in the long-term transformation plan of the Bayshore area. And when I speak of this group, I'm talking about the long-term holders who believe in the potential exit groups of BTOs 10 years later in the future when the entire Bayshore plan has been executed and done deal. These group of people would likely have the holding power to tide through the initial years and wait till it's right to let it go. It is a sound strategy, but definitely not for everyone, especially those that require a roof over their heads. And profile number 3, we have the landed clusters, the one who understand how land leases work, because they've been sitting around deciding what their kids should buy or even considered moving to a condo themselves as a downgrade, but didn't believe in buying into older condos in the area. They love the area enough to not exit this neighborhood, but also not enough to make a risky move to a condo with decaying lease. New launches in landed estates have also seen buyers who are children of the parents staying in the neighboring landed properties, but are not looking to get a landed themselves either. So this is definitely a pool that would love the concept of a brand new condo, fresh lease in the area close to their parents or to their kids. And for surrounding competition, let's list down a few condos in the direct vicinity to see how Vela Bay prices would stack up. And we have Costa Del Sol, the Bayshore and Bayshore Park as the older resale condos. Costa Del Sol seems a little bit more expensive comparatively, but it's likely because its main selling point is sea views and is also the youngest among these 3 condos. Costa Del Sol obtained its TOP in 2004 compared to Bayshore Park in 1986 and the Bayshore in 1999. And these land sizes in these developments are pretty crazy. Very rare plots going all the way up to almost 1 million square feet for Bayshore Park, which could be a potentially huge en bloc in the future, perhaps even housing more than 2,000 units eventually. And for this segment, we will be using the last 2 years of transaction prices to get us a glimpse of how this area is performing currently in relation to Vela Bay's prices. Here's the comparison of 2-bedroom prices across the board. And as you can see, this is how big of a jump Vela Bay would be from existing developments. People with a lower entry price and value space but would like to stay in this area may actually go for either one of these older developments, seeing that it's half the size, twice the price. Even Costa Del Sol prices are manageable at this tier. And for the 3-bedroom units, here's the list. This tier is comparable, but the biggest difference would be the size of the units. And this is where we start seeing Costa Del Sol getting a huge price bump, matching Vela Bay too, very likely because of the sea views. So similar prices, but almost twice the size. And for the 4-bedroom, here's the list. This tier is also comparable, but it's quite crazy that half of the 4-bedrooms here already crossed the 2,000 square feet mark. And yes, we will always say that old development floor plans are inefficient, but when you have over 2,000 square feet, even if it's inefficient, you would have at least, I don't know, 1,800, 2,000 square feet of usable space, right? And so matching that huge space in an older development with sea views, and then we have a price match once again with Costa Del Sol and Vela Bay. And finally, 5-bedroom, and this seems like only Bayshore Park has it, but the size of it is like multiple units stacked together to form this huge unit at 3,800 square feet. And because of the size, it definitely will cost more than Vela Bay's 5-bedroom. But this, after all, is an apartment that is over 2 times the size of what you can get at Vela Bay, just that it's an older lease development. And so I guess if there are people buying into this price range at Bayshore Park, a 40-year-old development, Vela Bay likely would attract a similar buyer also. And based on all of this, I would say that Costa Del Sol might be your actual real fight, especially for the Seaview units. Why? Despite it being older, you can clearly see that prices are still matching our starting price at Vela Bay, and it goes to show that people are willing to pay top dollar for a nice sea view, despite the lease. And once Vela Bay TOPs, they would then be forced to choose between a nearly 30-year-old development with bigger spaces versus a brand new TOP but smaller living spaces. For direct competition, we have to look a bit further to the nearest project closest to us, which is one train station down at Siglap, and that is Seaside Residences. Here's the prices of the last 2 years transactions as well. And this is a development that will be almost 10 years old at the point of Vela Bay's TOP. So it sure seems like there is demand for newer and smaller units in the area based on the price trends we are looking at. Profits wise, this development's 4-bedroom takes the cake with a gross profit of almost 1.3 million and averaging around 400,000 across all unit types. And so that's pretty sick for a new launch development, and seeing that BTOs will be entering the fray as well, we can likely expect some form of capital appreciation here in the future. And now to put a tangible number to this development, we have the anchors, the market ecosystem, the microdata, and exit strategy. If you have no idea of what we are talking about here, you can refer to this video to have a look at the 4 pillars that indicates a private properties demand. Under pillar 1 anchors, we have the first factor, which is the school scarcity. While Temasek seems like a decent option to have within 1 km, you can see it is always oversubscribed. And so I don't think we can give it a high score in this case, likely a 1.5, because to be honest, you don't have any other closer alternative if your child fails to get into Temasek Primary. And also at this point, we don't know the completion date of the new primary school too, and you will be competing with 9,999 other units in the area as well. The second factor we have is supply scarcity. The total number of BTOs in this area, including those that have not launched yet, is 7,000. A total of 1,444 BTOs are already underway with Bayshore, Vista, and Palms. However, the remaining 5,500 plus BTOs will only come up in the next few years. So while we have a huge number of BTOs, take note that they will all likely have 10 years MOP, and the ratio of HDB to private properties in the immediate vicinity is barely decent, 67 to 33 ratio. Given that in the immediate area, we already have a total of 3,542 private units. But seeing that it is the only new private development here, maybe it has its own set of demand in the future, like Seaside Residences. So this supply scarcity factor scores a 2.5. And the third factor, we have amenities. This is the one that scores a 5. With an MRT just at your doorstep, an integrated transport hub nearby coming up, a Sheng Siong that is a bus stop away with Siglap, CC, and Safra. This is sufficient for people get by. But the only downside here is the lack of coffee shops for now, and it will be sorted out once the BTO estates come up. The proximity to East Coast is also one of the biggest amenities and unique selling point for this development. So this gets a 5. And the fourth factor, we have future transformation. With tons of BTOs coming up and private estates probably, and the entire rejuvenation of the Bayshore area, this is definitely a 5. While no other new private properties have been slated to come up in this area yet, other than the Bayshore Drive integrated development that will be with Bedok South, the upcoming Bedok South MRT, the entirety of the Bayshore rejuvenation plan can definitely hard carry this transformation factor. And under the second pillar, market ecosystem, we have the first factor, BTO MOP wave. This scores a 5, but with a caveat that you're holding on to this property for at least 10 years. On the other hand, if you're looking to let go of this property at TOP, then this would score a 1. Because the truth is, you will not have any organic pool of buyers at this point of TOP, so adjust this score based on your holding power for this purchase. Factor number 2, we have the upgrader bridge. And let's be frank, BTO units here, especially those with a sea view, would definitely cross $1 million, even if it's just 4-room flats, because of how Bedok South Horizon asking prices are right now. They would eventually beat places like Dawson in terms of PSF in the future. So if you're selling a 3-bedroom at 2.8 or 3 million in the future, they will be able to offload their HDB at maybe 1.5 million. It then becomes a possible bridge for upgraders to cross. However, if we are talking about the 4 and 5 bedroom units, then this would definitely be a bridge too far for upgraders, because we're going to be looking at potentially $4 to $5 million in the resale market. So this scores a 5 if you're buying the smaller unit types, and scores a 1 if you're buying the bigger unit types. So adjust it as you will. And the third factor, we have general affordability of this development. Average household income is $12,446, which comes up to 1.4 million loan, meaning that they can buy up to a 1.9 million condo. And looking at the price of this development, it seems like people will barely be able to afford the 2-bedroom premium and potentially just the starting prices of 3-bedroom compact units. So this development is definitely not going to do well on general affordability, but really depends on the fandom on the area and potential wealth transfer from these existing estates. So this scores a 2.5, and this is the general affordability of Singaporeans as a whole based on the data of median household income, not the general wealth of the entire estate, because we already said we can't determine the salary of people staying in the various neighborhoods. And under the third pillar, micro data, we have the first factor, which is the floor plans, and we don't have the floor plans yet. It will likely be released in the coming weeks, so a subsequent video will be done on it. And second factor, we have the unit type scarcity. There is a decent spread across all types, but the 2-bedroom premium is the one that may have potential issues in the future, because they alone form 22% of the units in the development. If you're going for a 1-bedroom or a 4 or 5 private live unit, or even better yet, the penthouses, then you don't have to worry at all for this, and this will score a 5. But if you're looking at the rest of the unit types apart from what we've just mentioned, then this maybe scores a 3. So adjust your scores accordingly depending on which unit type you're going for. And the third factor, we have development design. Having a developer that maximizes the sea views is a very nice touch for a sea-facing project. It comes with its own tennis court and also a direct side gate to the MRT. This developer definitely got the site plan right. However, seeing that there are only 50% car park lots, this might be a concern, especially when it is marketed as more of an own-stay development. So while everything checks off, the car park space remains a big question mark on how the majority of buyers there would react. So this scores a 5 if you're not driving because you have no use for the car park at all. But if you're driving, and depending on how high a car park is on your priority list, this could be a 3 due to the lack of car park lots. And the fourth factor, we have the newness premium, and we will give this a 5 because this is a new launch unit connected to the MRT, and once TOP is going to be 10 years younger than the next newest development in the area. So definitely a win. Under the fourth pillar, which is exit strategy, we have the first factor, the price refresh rate. Being a medium-sized development and taking reference to the surrounding condos transactions, including seaside residences, we will be expecting 40 to 50 units a year for these developments transactions, which puts us at an average of 4 to 5 units a month. Definitely enough transactions to keep your prices fresh. And the second factor we have here is local or outsider demand. This very much depends on the time frame you're looking at. If you're looking at 10 years later, then 100% local demand for sure with the 7,000 BTO flats that are coming up. However, if you're looking at the point of TOP, then you will have to rely on outsider demand. And seeing the transactions of the other developments, it can be safe to say that even without BTO, this stretch definitely has enough of a pull factor for outsider demand. So definitely scoring a 5 for this factor. And the third factor we have in this pillar is similar product transactions. And given that Costa Del Sol and Seaside Residences, which is an unharmonized project, is already matching up to Vela Bay's potential launch prices, and those are unharmonized developments, showing that prices here are already generally accepted for these unit types. So yes, it may be more expensive than your usual OCR new launch condos, but the number shows that people are willing to pay this amount to stay here. So if you feel like this project is out of your budget, then perhaps maybe we are looking at the wrong product, but otherwise this scores a 5. So here's a summary of the scores that we've assigned, and I still owe you guys the floor plan analysis that we will cover in an upcoming video when it is released. And so in summary, this looks like a really lifestyle development, offering really beautiful views with a lot of great amenities like Siglap CC and Safra, and also the MRT at your doorsteps. I would say that if you're buying it for own stay, you don't have to hesitate. This is definitely good to stay in and hold for the long term. But I would say again that the exit strategy for Vela Bay should not be based on a quick sell upon TOP, because the surrounding infrastructure, not just the BTOs, would only come in at least 5 years time with the other key aspects like the park medical facilities, future primary school, and integrated transport hub even further in the future, maybe all the way until 2040. If you truly want to capitalize on future transformation, hold on to it till everything is up, and then the BTOs itself would be ready to cash out and you will be able to reap the entire value of your investment. And as an investor, you don't have to worry because seaside residences have already shown us that there is sufficient demand for newer and smaller unit types with decent profits as well. So for Vela Bay, you will just have to be patient when buying into it. And if you at this point are still looking to sell upon TOP, there are better options out there and you're better off going for those instead. But that being said, if you're buying it as an investment, remember to calculate your holding costs over the next 10 years because the rental may not cover your holding costs and you will be banking purely on your future capital gains. And if you're buying for own stay, enjoy the area, the amenities for the next 10 years, the house will definitely pay off in the next 10 years for sure with your capital gains later on. New launches in the recent years have shown us that we need a longer time frame, but I would say that this development itself needs a even longer time frame. So make sure that your finances are in order before committing to it. And that's it. That's the overview for Vela Bay. And if you're interested to know more about this development, you can contact me at 9697 1000 for future updates as well. And of course, if you like content like this, consider subscribing to the channel. We release real estate videos weekly or try to now in this period because of reservists. I'm ASAP and I will see you in the next video.